Have I ever told you about the time I met Dr. Kevorkian? Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming by. I'm Walt Williams. I am your motivational maestro, Walt the Motivator. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for taking some time out and listening to me. It means a lot, and I do appreciate it. Have you ever had an experience where it seemed like you were in a dream? Have you ever had an experience where you seemed like things were maybe just not as they seem? As you know, and as I've shared before, no secret here, I've been in prison for 28 and a half years. During those 28 and a half years, I've had the chance to come across some very interesting people. One of them is Dr. Jack Kevorkian, and he was known at the time as, maybe I can't say that word on here. Maybe I should say Dr. Unalived. How's that? Anyway, he was a doctor who believed in helping people, assisting people to terminate themselves. Maybe people with special illnesses or different things that he deemed were detrimental to their quality of life. And I don't know how many people he unalived, but here in Michigan, the legislatures, the lawmakers did not take kindly to that sort of thing. As a result, he wound up in prison. I met him maybe about 4 or 5 years before I got out. I'm not sure exactly the time frame on that, but I'll tell you what happened. 5 o'clock in the morning, I was waking up. I was awakened to go on a med run because I needed to go to the main hospital, which kind of governs the whole Department of Corrections. And that was in Jackson. So I got ready. I got my state blues on and everything. Went up front to the control center, got handcuffed, got put into a transport van, and I was in a low level. That was a low level, so I could choose whichever seat that I wanted to. And there weren't many of us going, maybe about 5 of us or so. But I sat down in a seat, picked a good seat by a window. They were all, mostly by windows. You know how van seats are. So it was a van seat. I sat down, and it was going to be a nice, quiet ride. Because at 5 o'clock in the morning, who feels like just having conversations with anybody anyway, especially in the joint? You know what I'm saying? So I sat there, and there was another person that came on. He sat down, chose a seat behind me. Another person chose a seat across from me or something like that, or front of me. And then that left about maybe left 2 more seats vacant, maybe the very back seat and a very front seat. And so we're waiting for a while, and I asked, what are we waiting on? Are we going to go? Are we waiting for somebody special? And the officer turns around. Oh, yes, he's special. All right. We're waiting for the doctor. So I knew what that meant, and we all knew what that meant. That was Dr. Kevorkian. So in walks Dr. Kevorkian, and after about maybe 2 minutes, he comes up, got his handcuffs on. He walks up on the van, and he looks around, and what does he do? Does he pick the first seat there? Does he pick that seat? No. The back seat, does he pick that seat? No. He walks up to my seat, sits in the same, because they're long seats, they're van seats. So he sits right across from me on the same seat, though, on the same bench type seat. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why is he sitting here? Now, it was rumored, not really rumored, but well known that this guy did not like to talk or kind of was rude to people or whatever. And I'm like, I do not need this in my life right now for a rude person to sit across from me, because I'm trying to just chill, take it easy. I'm concentrating on my health here, see what's going on in my brain, my nasal, or whatever to do with these MRI things that they were taking me to. So I thought to myself, well, this guy is going to be rude. But after all, this Dr. Kevorkian, and who knows, lightning might strike the van. And so what I did, I put on my seatbelt. You know, we're in a prison van and we're low custody, just handcuffs. You know, we usually don't use the seatbelts anyway. But that day, I put on that seatbelt, and I don't know why. I just, maybe I thought, like I said, maybe lightning may strike the van. Maybe God would have been mad. I don't know what I thought. Anyway, I just put the seatbelt on. He looked at me a bit, kind of nodded. I nodded back. Not this kind of nod, you know, this kind of nod. You don't do this kind of nod. You do this kind of nod. It's like, what's up? What's up? But you don't say it. You just do. Anyway, he's quiet. He's quiet for the first 3 miles. Then it's like a faucet came on. He starts talking. He starts talking about art, because he's an artist. And the few times that I did see him, I think he saw me doing my leather work. I do leather work too. I love working with leather. I love it. I'm going to have to show you some of that one day. But I think he saw that. And I remember him having some art. Paintings. He was a very good painter. Although I think he was an angry painter. I think he must have been mad at the Catholic Church or something. I don't know what they did to him. I don't know what happened to him, but he was pretty mad. He let that aggression out through a lot of his artwork. And maybe he was just mad at what he thought maybe he thought it was just standardized religion. Maybe he was mad at that. And maybe he was mad because he thought that the reason he was in prison was because of the religious mindset of people in America. Now, one way or another, I don't know, but I know I put on my seatbelt that day, and I listened to him talk about art. He talked about the different mediums that he used, and he began to say, you know what? I'm probably going to die pretty soon. And I thought to myself, what a deviation. What we were talking about our art for one moment now, and then suddenly he says, yeah, I'm probably going to die pretty soon. He says, I'm not upset, but I just hate the fact that I would die in prison. And I tell you, that hit me right there. It hit me because he verbalized what I had been thinking for years, of course, of what many people think that are in that type of situation. He hated that he was going to die in prison and not be able to tell his side of the story the way he actually wanted it to be told. He had a story to tell. And as he talked to me that time, he talked to me about all kinds of things. And that's about as far as I'm going to go with that, because I had a chance to give him some really good words, I believe. But whatever you think about who he is and who he was, rather, and you know what? That wasn't the only time. There were 2 other times where I was on the same med run with him, and he chose to sit in the seat right next to me. The last time he didn't talk at all, which I was cool. I go with the flow on that, because it was morning, it was early. Who knows what he had been through? Who knows what kind of health issues he faced that he may not have wanted to share? That's up to him. Sometimes we have to not pry so much into a person's life and try to second guess what they're thinking or anything like that. Let it flow naturally. He spoke to me that whole thing. I mean, from 3 miles out, all the way there and all the way back. The second time he came, he spoke a lot too. But for some reason, he chose to sit next to me. Am I anybody special? No. But for some reason, Dr. Kevorkian chose to sit next to me in the van on a med run. Those were the times that I met him personally and had, some type of communication with him. About a year later, something happened to where the courts let him go. The courts that kind of reversed or lined up his sentence. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember clearly the day he got out. There were helicopters all over the prison. There were so many media people that were parked across the street from the prison that you could see from the back 40 satellite TV, communications people or whatever. Big giant satellites on trucks. They shut the yard down. They called it an emergency count, shut the yard down because it was just too much. It was so much commotion. And I remember all of the people, all the reporters waiting for him to come through that front door. And for some reason, some kind of way, the department had let him out secretly some other way through a different means. So they weren't able to see him leave. But it was a fiasco. It was a circus, I'm telling you. But one of the things, and the thing that I was going to say that really got me, as I alluded to earlier, was he hated the fact that he would die in prison. I hate the fact that many of you will die in a form of a prison, in some kind of prison, without getting the word out about who you are and what makes you tick. I want to come here and help liberate you, help you get free. I want you to not fear the camera. I want you to not fear the communication. I want you to not fear YouTube or any other social media that can help you get the word out about what you have, because what you have is so valuable. What you have is like gold. Your story. It may not have been Dr. Kevorkian's story. That's not my story. My story only kind of crossed paths with him. But it was so profound what he had told me that he hated to die without getting his story out the way he wanted it to be told. And from what I understand, there was a movie that was a Godfather guy. Al Pacino played in, that he played Dr. Kevorkian. I haven't seen it, but maybe I'll look at it one day and see what it's about. I'm going to tell you something. I haven't watched too many movies since I've been out, because I really believe that I'm more productive when I am working on a project. I'm a real project-oriented guy. I love to make things happen. I love to make things tick, and I love to see what makes them tick. But one thing I do know about life, and one thing I know about you, is that you've got a story that needs to be told before you die in the prison that you're in. Freedom is here right now. Freedom is here for you right now. And it's just at the push of a button. Just push. Start recording your memories. Start recording your day. It may seem boring to you. Are you cooking a meal? Show somebody how to make cornbread. Show somebody how to make a creme brulee. Show somebody how to knit a sweater or a shawl. Show somebody how to make a leather product. Show somebody how to be a designer. You have that in you. You may think that it's just an old talent that you've got that nobody wants. Believe me, there's somebody in the world who needs to learn what you have to teach. Believe me, there is somebody in this world who would love to learn to cook like you do. There's somebody in this world who would love to sing like you do, to play an instrument the way you do, to speak the way you do. You have a story. Don't let it die with you. The legacy that I spoke about earlier, it ties right in. This is the time. This is the time for you in 2025 and 2025 to break free, to elevate, to come on up. And see, don't worry about whether your video will pop off. Don't worry about whether your video will go viral. I want you to do this for you. It helps you. Don't let another day pass. Because just as one day Dr Kevorkian was set free out of prison, whether you like him or not, he got out of prison. I don't know whether he was able to escape the prison of his mind. I don't know if you will be able to escape the prison of your mind. I don't know what bars that man may have set up in his life. I don't know exactly. But it really made me think when he said it to me. I don't want to die without having a chance to really tell my story. Boy, you've got a story to tell. We have got a story to tell. Look how far we've come. Look how far we have come. We have come from a long way. And I know, yes, I know. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy at all. You have to get up. You have to go to work. You have to maybe feed the kids. Maybe you have to take them to school. Maybe you have to take another shift and have to work overtime or something like that. I know it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But if you took maybe 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there and strung it together and send it on up. Send it on up. Come on, y'all. Send it on up. We need to hear you. We need to hear your words, even if they don't come easy. But I guarantee you, if you keep on talking, something's going to come from your mouth. Something's going to come from your mouth that helps somebody else. So it's not only about you, but it's about somebody else who wants to learn from you, who needs to learn from you. Oh, you've got so much to offer. Don't play yourself short, all right? Give yourself a break. Come on over to YouTube. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's cook about it. Let's sing about it. Let's read about it. Let's be about it, all right? I want you guys to go forth, speak it, seeing it, do it, read it. And just because I've been places where you may not have been, doesn't mean my story is greater or worse than yours. Everybody's got a story to tell. You may not be well-versed in certain things. I may not be well-versed in other things, but we can all tell something. We can all do something. I know that it's within you. I know that your heart burns and yearns to tell somebody about what you can do. Have you found a certain way? Have you found a certain way to hang a curtain? Have you found a certain way to cook salmon? Have you found a certain way to sing a song? Have you found a certain way to do an exercise? We need you. We need your words. We need your motivation. We need you. You can do it through YouTube. But listen, thank you for sticking around. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time today. I am Walt the Motivator. I am your motivational maestro. I might keep that one. I appreciate you. Thank you. You have a good time. Have a good evening, good morning, and a good night. Bye-bye.